Valve have very clearly said it's not a console. But for all intents and purposes, right, and I'm going to rub some people out the wrong way, it's a fucking console.
It goes back to what you're saying. What are you delivering above and beyond the PS5 Pro?
I don't go to a fucking 2-week-old corpse with a defibrillator and expect it to come back to life, which is essentially what he's trying to do.
He's already dead.
Yeah, exactly. We're still in the same position. We're not. Nothing's getting better in a year's time. You know, even if you announce it in a year's time.
Could this maybe, and I hope it does, could this make the indie market thrive more?
I fucking hope so, man. I genuinely do.
Dan with a gaming flair, pixel dreams and worlds to share, joystick tales and button cues. Welcome to Gaming Views. Level up.
Welcome to another episode of Gaming Views, where this could be the greatest day of our lives, Dan, and this episode becomes mega viral. Today's episode is all about news, and I have a lot of news articles for you, so I hope you've got some patience. I pray that you never forget that even though the weather is boiling as the sun continues to shine, and knowing some of the stories we're going to discuss, that if you walk off in anger, I'm always going to want you back for good. I'm Dan P. My co-host that you can never forget is Dan H. Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
Why? We didn't even do that when I did the Oasis episode.
Take that, Dan. Take that.
Oh, I'm really sorry, listeners. It's Dan's fault. I didn't do anything to do with that.
Yeah. Look, it's not game related. I went to take that at the weekend, and sorry, not sorry. I loved it. It was a great show.
Brag about it.
Yeah. Gary, Mark, well, you know, if you're listening, you know, you want to come on, let us know. Tell us.
Is it in the three of them?
Yeah, I've forgotten the other one.
Jason?
That's the one.
No,
yeah.
He left. Did he leave?
He left. Yeah, Howard.
I've got Howard's the one who dances, isn't he?
No, but seriously, it was really good. It was really good show.
Why am I even discussing this with you?
We're not here for pop views. And yeah, I'm really sorry. And we're really struggling, listeners, as well, because we're recording, and for whatever reason, Dan is about 30 seconds behind on my screen, so I can't look at him.
Just to be clear, it's the software, not me.
Yeah.
I haven't glitched.
Right. This week, we're doing things a little different. This week is going to mostly be a news episode. There's a lot, Dan, isn't there? It's almost like a highly anticipated system and a highly anticipated game have been announced. You know, the release date's almost like that.
Maybe.
And I can't...
and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, and I can't
like
promise you...
Do you announce redundancies?
Well, I was going to say, I can't promise that it's going to be a cheery episode either. So, before we get into all that, let's do the usual, what we've been playing. Dan, what have you been playing since we last recorded?
So, very quickly, I finished Astrobot. I will not go on and on about my love for that game. It is amazing and incredible, and there's so much more to do in it. But yes, finished Astrobot. Done. Loved every minute of it. I finally managed to play, after getting it uploaded and managing to get into it, Dave the Diver in the Jungle.
Finally.
Which I have to say, finally. It took a bit. I couldn't work out why, because even on the title screen, you're supposed to get a little pop-up that says jump straight into the DLC, but it just wasn't showing for me. Anyway, I went in game, waited a day. You can do a wait until the following day. And it finally popped up. So got into the DLC. I have to say, it's almost an entirely different game. Which is great.
Of course it would be, yeah.
Yeah, but almost altogether, because Mint Rocket are brilliant at doing this thing where they're able to shove loads of really well crafted mini games into a game, and they've done the same within the Jungle. So those who've played Dave the Dive will know there's two primary elements other than the bits they throw in. There's the management side of it, which is you're managing a sushi bar. And then there's the other side of it, which is you are diving for the fish to sell at the sushi bar, to use in the recipes at the sushi bar, and a couple of other little bits. And then, like I said, they throw in all these mini games. Dave the Diver in the Jungle kind of flips on his head, and what you actually end up with is you visit this new region, and you spend quite a lot of it walking around, just chatting to people, and building up relationships with them and giving them gifts. And then to dive, you don't go out on a boat, you jump off a pier right outside your little hut. And there's also like a building management sim piece where you build your village up alongside the management of a restaurant, which is no longer a sushi bar, it's a grill restaurant. So all the kind of bancho little movies that they put in have all been redone for new style stuff, and it's all brilliant. And I'm only a couple of hours in, but it's harder, I think, than Dave the Diver. Like some of the underwater sections seem to be quite harder, but there seems to be an awful lot of content in it. And yeah, I can't wait to get stuck back in. I'm really enjoying it. Again, it's got me hooked on kind of Dave the Diver, but in a different way. But yeah, I love how they've just done something completely different again.
Really but good. I mean, you loved the base game anyway, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I didn't realise how close I was to finishing, actually. I was only like 2 missions away from the end, but I hadn't really noticed. But there's still a ton more stuff to do in that game, even in the base game. I then went on a bit of a binge. So it was recently Steam Next Fest. So I downloaded a couple of demos off of that. One of which I'd already talked about in a previous episode, that was Valor Mortis. And the other one I will talk about, that I didn't think I was going to enjoy, but actually ended up really enjoying it to a point where I think it's now on my I'm going to buy it list, in September when that launched. So that was Onimusha, Way of the Sword. So it's a Japanese samurai mixed with demon style game. I'm not going to call it Souls-like, but it's very Sekiro kind of, parrying combat, and you basically have a heavy attack which is two-handed and a light attack which is one hand. What I really like about this, I didn't think I would like, when you parry, if you're quick enough, you can also hit the A button, which deflects them. So you not only parry their attack, you deflect them, so you're turning them away from so leaving them open to a really brutal attack. There's lovely finishing moves in there. I mean, it's a really light first section of the game, but I just found it really enjoyable. I found the story engaging, in a really, really good AA style game type way. And I'm sure it's supposed to be AAA, but it grabbed me as a kind of, like the games you used to play on the 360 and go, what was the one with the glaive and the, Dark Sector and those sorts of games. Yeah. It grabbed me in that kind of way. It looks very pretty. So yeah, I had to go on Onimusha, Way of the Sword. So that's now on my wish list for purchase. The other game I played was one we saw back in, may have been the Christmas game show. May have been. So this is Anomaly President. And it's mad in a Dave the Diver kind of mad way. So again, it's a game with two primary elements. One is the core loop of the game, I think, which is really, I'm struggling to explain this, right? So you are the son of the president of the US who is fighting for re-election against, fighting for election against a big baddie president. I'm not saying anything.
Okay. No, don't.
And at the beginning of the game opens up, you learn the basic moves through going to his campaign, and he works with, I think they're supposed to be aliens, but they're called furries. I'm not going to get fuzzies or something. I'm not going to get into it. And it's very a left-right thing, I think, this game. So you have these furries, and they essentially perform menial tasks for you. And I'll get into that in a second. But the core loop of the game, I think, is you are going to different campaign events and you are performing missions as his son, basically doing a fighting platformer, beating people up. And it's quite good. There's your usual parry mechanics in there. There's some quite cool, there's your kind of charged attacks, and there's some quite cool things in there around how you can use dropped weapons and things like that. It mixes up the combat quite nicely. It's all very retro 16-bit style graphics. It looks lovely. I had a really good blast. The other side of the game then is when you've done that, you obviously get more voters. And as you get more voters, you have to build out your campaign bus. So what you're doing is you're traveling in this flying campaign bus.
Of course.
That you have to build in a management sim. And you have to build things like a kitchen to be able to cook. You have to then build like weapon systems, and you have to build a forge so that you can forge upgrades to weapons to go out on the missions, like a normal presidency, Dan, in the US, as I believe it happens. So yeah, but it's just, and then in between that, you can go and do different style events to get more votes, and they take the form of things like Dance Dance Revolution style games. And so, you know, in that Mint Rocket crazy, you know, changing it up and doing different things, there's only a couple thrown in the demo. But again, I could see myself getting super addicted to it in a very similar Dave the Diver kind of way. So yeah, really enjoyed Anomaly President demo, really enjoyed Onimusha Way of the Sword demo. And I do have to say, I did treat myself as well today in the Steam sale. I haven't gone around to playing any of it, but I had a look through the Steam sale and reconsidered my options. And I bought because I love it so much, I bought the Wolfenstein pack. So all of the recent Wolfenstein games, because it's like a tenner. And I was like, I get them all for a tenner on my PC, so I can go and play them all again on the PC, which I'm looking forward to. I also, because I said I would play it before next year, assuming the game's out next year, it's probably the year after, but I bought the Witcher 3 pack for the PC as well, which has all the content. So it's the main DLC and everything else.
So you're going to say Football Manager.
I did not buy Football Manager. No, I bought The Witcher 3. And that was like £6. And then I also bought, because I've always wanted to play it, but never got around to play it because I always heard really good things about it. And I do have a bit of a thing for roguelikes, apparently. I bought the Binding of Isaac super pack that has everything in it.
I've been wanting to play that for a long time. So yeah, you'll have to let me know what it's like, because I've been really tempted.
Of course I will. Yeah. I'll be happy to come back one day if you ask me and let you know about it. Yeah, but that's what I've been playing or buying. Apparently,
I was going to say actually, yeah, really important point. Although I don't know when this episode goes out if it's still be on, but yeah, the Steam sale is on, and I've treated myself to a few things.
I think it's still on. I think it's until like the 9th or something, July. I think.
So there's been some really good. A lot of my wish list was on sale. They've mostly been like point and click adventures. So, and one of the purchases we'll talk about shortly. But what have I been playing? Not too much, because I was away at the start of the week for work, and then I was bopping away at Take That. Just mention them again if their press are listening. So what do
you think they're going to send you that's relevant to this podcast?
No, but you try, right? Nobody sent us anything, right? So, well, actually, I am going to start off by saying, look, my wonderful co-host has got me a very early birthday present, the Expedition 33 double album.
Have you listened to it yet?
Not yet. Thank you, though. Thank you for getting that.
You're most welcome. Happy birthday for a month's time.
Yeah, a month's time. Yeah. What have I been playing? So I've really got stuck into Spider-Man 2. So I think I'm about 4 missions from the end. And yeah, I kind of echo, I think, what you said in the last episode. And yeah, we spoke briefly yesterday. Look, there's nothing wrong with the game in that it's more of the same. I think especially the traversal, the swinging mechanic is even better than the first couple of games. So traversing through the city is a joy. It's just, to echo what you said, the story hasn't grabbed me so much this time. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's done a little bit of what some of the Batman films, I think it's the Batman films, where sometimes they throw a lot of enemies into one outing. But, you're 1 minute you're playing as Peter Parker as Spider-Man, then you jump into Miles Morales, which is fine because you've played the both of them. And then, again, at one point you're jumping into Mary Jane again, and you're doing a couple of missions as her. Then you're jumping into... Sorry?
Careful now.
Yeah, you're jumping into another character. And then you've got, it feels like it was building up this big Craven storyline.
Yeah.
And obviously that it is a main point to it. But then you've got Miles wanting his revenge against, is it Mr. Lee from the first... Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative, yeah.
Yeah, from the first game. You've then got what's happening with Harry Osborn, and that's where I got to last night. And it just feels like none of those stories is particularly grabbing my attention because they're all happening all at the same time. You've got the cliche of where Pete gets Harry's suit. I mean, it's not, can spoil the game, right? Because it's quite old, isn't it?
I think you're fine to spoil the game down, yeah. Or just go read the comics. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. None of that's in the comics. Carry on.
The symbiote, suit, so he starts getting sort of angry and mean. But like I said, and while none of the stories are particularly bad in their own right, it just, because there hasn't been that big overarching, it hasn't felt like there's been that real build of momentum to a showdown for me. And that's kind of not grabbed me.
Yeah. It kind of ends in it kind of, that big showdown happens in a couple of ways. But yeah, none of it really super gelled. It's a great game. And I think one of them is actually prefaced by a really frustrating stealth bit with Mary Jane, I think, if I remember correctly, that just annoyed the hell out of me. I won't spoil it, but I think it was a me problem. But I don't want to do that. I want to be Spider-Man. Can I go?
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's a couple of missions with her, and again, it's fine, but it's.
Don't get me wrong. I don't even want to be Venom. It's not a Mary Jane thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be Peter without the costume. I want to be Spider-Man.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you're playing Venom at one point, and so again, it just keeps on changing. And I think being Pete and Miles is one thing because they are Spider-Man, right? And like you said, there's a whole mission with Pete infiltrating an event, and he's a waiter, and so you're playing him out of costume, and like you said, at that point, I'm not shooting webs, I'm not swinging across the room. Yeah. But look, but like I said, the game itself, I would absolutely recommend. There's nothing wrong with the game itself. It's just the story I think is a shame because I think in the first one, and I think even in the Miles Morales spin-off, I think the stories were great. It's just this one, it feels like there's a lot happening, but not a lot of grabbing my attention, I think.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair. Yeah. I'm just before you go to the next game, I am just going to counter the point before it arises in the comments, as it inevitably will. I'm saying I wanted to play as Spider-Man because the game is Spider-Man, right? I'm not saying, right? It's not a counterpoint to God of War Laufey. That clearly told me I was playing as her, and I'm still super stoked to play it, all right? So I'm not, do you know what I mean? Because I'm going to get the comments. Dan, but that's not what you said about the other game.
If there was a Mary Jane spin-off, you'd play that, right?
Yeah, right. I think, that's not what this is.
I think the thing is for me is it just the game keeps losing momentum for me, whether it's
that's exactly
it forces you to change a character.
Yeah.
Or the story then focuses on the other character's story, and it's a momentum bit.
I'll be honest, I had a similar problem with God of War when I was playing that when it kept flicking me into playing Atreus, and I was like, I didn't mind it as much, but it still felt like it lost momentum a bit when you'd gone through these epic battles, and then all of a sudden you were like, oh no, I'm playing as him, and he can't open a chest. That's a bit weird.
Yeah,
that was. But yeah. Sorry, mate, carry on.
No, that's fine. So, I'll have that finished. I might even have that finished after we record. So, the next game I'm playing is one I bought, I think it only came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called Crushed in Time. And do you know what? This is one, I saw it, I don't even know how I found this, but I think I may have seen it mentioned in an article. But nice. It's a game, it's right on my street. So, it's by a developer called Draw Me a Pixel, who apparently had a very similar-ish fun first game called There Is No Game, which is quite meta about developing a game. So I'm going to go back. Right. I'm going to try find that after I've finished this. But it's a point-and-click adventure, but the twist is that rather than pointing and clicking, you're clicking and stretching. So the whole screen is elasticated. So let's say you've got
I'll provide video, Dan. That might be easier.
Yeah. You've got, so it's a very cartoony. Think when you're looking at it, think kind of the old LucasArts style, but sort of newer, modern style. It's cartoony. You're playing. So I think it's about the company releasing a video game, but one of the NPCs has gone missing. And within the game, you've got a very cartoony Sherlock Holmes and Watson investigating, but in this case Sherlock Holmes is nowhere near as sort of sensible and serious. It's a lot more of a bit more of a cartoony, outlandish sort of silly character,
right?
So each scene you can pull and stretch on anything in the screen, so you'll click the pointer, you'll click the cursor, move it in any direction, and you'll ping the screen. But the way you solve puzzles is that certain things on the screen are interactable, and if you grab those, you can do things like spin something the other way. You can flip something the other route. So, like, there's one puzzle where you've got to get a key in a door. So, firstly, you've got to work out how to get the key off the ceiling. It all makes sense.
Sure.
And then you keep
That's where I put mine when I come in.
Yeah. You keep pinging the key across and then you can actually fire it into the lock of the door, which then opens it.
I see.
You can rotate things. So, for example, I said, and I'm trying not to spoil some of the puzzles, some of the things very early on.
Well, you've just done one, so why not more? I mean,
well, no, I didn't give anything away there. Like, they get into the car. This is very early on, and it's one of these old style cars where you've got the crank at the front that they've got to wind up, and they're arguing the other one should go out and wind it up and start the car. So you, as a player, obviously do it, and you grab hold of it, rotate the cursor the way it tells you. And what's funny in things like that is when you're doing things around them, you are obviously like a godlike entity around them. So they can't see you. So when the car starts, they'll say, "Oh, the car's just started. It must have been me." And Sherlock says, "Well, if it wasn't you, it had to have been me. I'm the best person around, sort of thing." And if you spray them with water by a fountain, they'll say, "Oh, it started raining," because they can't see you, but you're affecting the world. So yeah, it's full of these little puzzles, and they'll kind of layer things on as they go along, but it ultimately does boil down to, opening doors, opening cupboards, flinging things around. And yes, it's really fun. There's a lot of humor in it. The puzzles, some of them are tricky, but they're never going to be, at the moment anyway, never going to be overly tricky, because on the screen at any one time, it shows you what's interactable, and they are definitely what's needed to solve part of that screen's puzzles. So it's not like you can click on anything and you get the red herrings like you used to.
I like LucasArts when he used to throw in like a bunch of stuff and you go, well, can I stick that fish skeleton to a stick to make a thing that does it? It's like none of those things work.
Yeah. Or you could look at everything, but you didn't, you didn't need to interact with it. So where I've left it's mixed things up a little bit. So you've gone into the code of this computer game and you've had to change some of the parameters, and literally as I left it, you're playing an old LCD Game & Watch, Nintendo Game & Watch game. But it's just, it's really fun. It's kind of really up my alley in terms of the type of game. The only thing criticism I've got of the game is everything is you have to use that mechanic to, the click and stretch, even menus. So if you want to go into a menu, say the settings, you've got to stretch the menu button. You've then got to click and stretch the settings button. Then you've got to, do you know what I mean? So, and even if you want to exit.
Overdone.
Yeah. And even like some scenes, you've got 3 exits to the room you're in. I'd like to just be able to click on the exit and go out, but no, you've got to click it, stretch it, let go. So I would say that's the only frustrating thing. But yeah, really good fun at the moment, and that's that key word, right? It's fun. So
what are you playing that? Is it on Xbox or Steam or
Steam Deck? Yeah,
Steam Deck. Nice.
Yes. So Spider-Man I'm playing on your PC and Steam Deck, and Crushed in Time is on
Can you use a trackpad for Crushed in Time with the pinging thing? With that?
You probably could actually. It probably could work, and it probably would be better.
I bet you can configure it even if you can't, can you? I bet you could configure the trackpad to be. It's quite configurable.
Yeah, it would be good as well, because some of the puzzles, there's a timing element where you have to get something going, and you might have 10 seconds to then activate something else at the same time.
Right.
So with the controller, it can be quite fiddly. And what you've got to remember is when you're stretching, you've actually got to then let go of the stick rather than just let go of the button first. So under pressure, you kind of forget to do things. But if I'm sure there's a demo in Steam, go check it out. I'd recommend it. Very fun game. Very fun game.
Nice.
Right. I've just had a peek at you, Dan. You're still behind. So I'm covering your face up again. I hope you don't mind.
I'm always behind, mate.
Right. Could I ask you to do the housekeeping? Because we'll do comment corner, but you do it. You do it far better.
Of course, it's easy. If you like what you're listening to, and please do go back and check other videos. We've got I can't remember now, about 300 including shorts. It's madness. But if you do like any of the above, below, side by side, whatever it is, please do click like and subscribe. Not or, like and subscribe. yeah, it doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but it means the world to us when you do. Helps us see. And please also do comment, interact with us on YouTube, Spotify, any of the other and social media. We do love your comments and questions. And as Dan will say in a minute, Dan will show in a minute. Oh, whatever you just do, fucking.
I'm going to read them out.
Corner.
Yeah, we can run to comment corner. We need some really sort of cheesy lift music in the background when we do this bit. You remember like the old birthday?
I can do.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. I should never.
No, what was the guy who used to do the art program?
Oh, Tony Hart.
The gallery. Yeah, Tony Hart. Do the gallery. Shall I do that?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'll get the gallery music. There you go. I'll go and we'll get pulled. Copyright.
So please do leave us a comment either on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, or even on Twitter, wherever you kind of find us.
Everywhere.
So this week, over on YouTube, so this was on a short regarding Game Pass losing subscriptions when the price went up. Callum Monk wrote to us, said, yeah, I cancelled. Life got to the point where I just don't play big games anymore. I don't have the energy to begin a game and then lose interest because I haven't been able to play it. I would have probably kept Game Pass if the price model didn't change. And so I said, yeah, it sometimes takes something like this to reevaluate sort of your priorities in terms of a hobby or expense. And yeah, he responded saying, I fully agree with the statement. Honestly, I've gone back to playing my 30-year-old Mega Drive games whenever I have that gaming itch, keep up the content. And yeah, we've said it a number of times, haven't we? These big, epic, open world games, they're great, but sometimes it's, you can just lose a little bit of will sometimes as you're going through it, can't you?
Yeah, we've said it tons of times. You get to a point where you're very time poor, and you know what time you do want to spend or have to spend in this hobby of gaming. You don't want to feel like you've wasted any of it. And sometimes you can start something that just feels too big or too broad and doesn't really suit you in, but you almost feel compelled to continue playing it, even though you're like, it's a bit of a drag, which it sounds is what Callum's saying. It's like, I just can't be arsed. I don't blame you, you know. And
if you're paying 20 quid a month for that. And
this is mad. I've kept mine and I'm not really playing on my Xbox much. So I'm almost, if it wasn't for, Halo and some of the other great stuff that's coming out, E-Day and things like that, I probably would have jacked mine in by now, but I think there's some stuff to come. That's why I kind of kept it.
Yeah. Moving on to, so this is still on our football episode. So there was a short about Atari innovating in one of their early games, and we had Cycle Point say, Intellivision had a TV channel that you could use to download games. Data for specific games would be broadcast at specific times, and you set your machine to get the one you want. No storage, just loaded to memory, like internet before there was internet. And I remember, I think we spoke about this, but for the life of me, I couldn't remember what episode we did a lot of that stuff in. But
I'll find the card for it. We definitely did. We definitely did we definitely did. I don't know if we spoke specifically about Intellivision though, because there was definitely a couple where you downloaded through your coaxial cable, because obviously you wouldn't have had anything. Maybe it was this one, but great view, Cycle Point, because I think you're right, and if we didn't, I do want to cover that because that sounds awesome. Yeah,
and in the Sonic episode, well, the last couple of episodes, so Sonic Football and even the Nintendo 64 one, we keep mentioning about how innovative the early days of gaming were, how they drove things forward. So
totally.
Yeah, great shout. On a short about EA's Ultimate Team being a gold mine for them, we've got B33FY 2011, which I think is Beefy. Yeah, Beefy 2011. Said, I've never in my life spent a penny on Ultimate Team. I'm no mug. I do the objectives. SBCs, which I think is going to be some sort of challenges over time, and that'll always end up with decent teams. People who blow hundreds on packs deserve to be ripped off.
That's exactly what I said. It's not wrong.
And look, and I each to their own. Obviously, if you're going to spend money on packs, but it feels like there's only one winner in the end of the day, isn't it? If you're spending a lot of money.
Capitalism.
Yeah. EA or whoever owns them. On a clip,
whichever Saudi conglomerate's bought them this time.
Stay tuned to this episode. On a clip about FIFA versus Pro Evo, Trey Too Much said, well, I'll tell you what, it's the closest I think it's been for the last 10 odd years in terms of quality. concurrent gamers still had the same gap on PC and console, but it feels like both will be pushing more and more into mobile, which sucks. EA FC is truly an awful game. The comment about the mobile is you can't get away from that. It is a true fact, unfortunately, isn't it?
I'm very worried about mobile. We'll talk about it when we get to the news, but I'm very worried about mobile gaming. Not because it's getting worse, but for other reasons. But we'll talk about it. Remind me because I'm old.
And check out our episode from a few weeks ago where we talk about the evolution of mobile gaming.
Yes.
Always go for a plug. Then this is from one of our older episodes. You were talking about the Amsterdam, was it 1666 demo, wasn't it?
1666 Amsterdam. This was one of the game show ones. Yeah.
You were talking in that episode about how odd the game was. And Rambly Bear said the weirdest part about this game demo is where a father captures his daughter in a blood trance and then proceeds to show her in graphic detail the night she was conceived. I mean,
so this is the bit I was talking about. So she reads this text in a book from the library and gets trapped in this trance where he then goes on to talk about, and I said they have sexy time. This is what he's talking about. Yeah. So this is the bit I'm talking about. And you're absolutely right, Roundy Bear. Yeah. Absolutely fucking shit. It was like, I was like, what am I watching? Why? Yeah. And why have you jumped from the 60s to the 2020s to the 2000? I don't understand. Stop it now. It's hurting my brain.
Let's move on from that comment. But thank you for the comment. But yeah, let's move on from the game is more what I meant.
Totally.
On our Sonic episode, Cutty has left a message, said, lovely stuff, enjoyed that. Thinking about the early rabbit design character, we discussed the many iterations of Sonic could have been. Whose ears could grab, lift and throw objects. This must be an early idea of what would end up being the Rystar character, just replace long ears with long arms. And absolutely, I said, great shout, because I hadn't kind of put that together. But then, if you go and see the clips of it, it's very, very similar to possibly what
I'm not familiar with the character because I'm not a massive fan of Sonic games, but I think, when doing the research for that episode, I know there was a lot of stuff around. Actually, there were many designs that they ended up reusing for different things. Like just the research was kind of spitting out all of these things that go, there was this giant glove hand, and then there was this other one that turned into the bat-like creature. And so I think, they did that. And I guess that's what they do with a lot of games, right? Just they'll come up with ideas and go, well, that doesn't quite work, but we'll use it for something else somewhere else. But yeah, good shout.
Yeah. Move over. We've got a Spotify comment this week, and it's from someone called Paul Crofts, who left us a really nice comment. Said, loving the content. My wish list on the PlayStation Store has doubled since finding your channel. You guys are great. So I think sorry, but also great, Paul.
You are very welcome. You're very welcome, Paul. Yeah, no, not sorry. Like,
What about his wish list? About his wish list expanding.
That's right. He's not spending the money. He's just wish listing them. He's going, I'll get round to them. So, and a lot of the ones I've talked about in the past, and certainly on PlayStation, they're on PS Plus as well. So you can get them for free. It's not free, Dan.
And finally, we've got a couple on Twitter that I wanted to shout. So when the Steam Machine dates and price got announced, stay tuned on this episode. I put out a message about it, and we had a couple of comments. So Chat Tsunami, I said, what are your thoughts on this? Chat Tsunami said, probably won't pick one up anytime soon, but I'll definitely have my eye on it in the future. And Anthony Longmore said, are either of you guys going to pre-order it? If this is any indication, price points for next-gen consoles may be too much for me, sadly. So I did respond to Anthony. I won't say what I said now because you and I are going to talk about this shortly anyway. But that's Comment Corner. So please do leave us some comments. And let us know what you think about either some of the past episodes or anything we talk about today. So, Dan, let's go on with this. And I don't feel too stressed that we've already been recording for about half an hour and we're only just getting to news, because that's all we're talking about today.
That is all we're doing, news. So you're all right. You've got an hour and a half to talk about news, Dan, so you're fine. No pressure. Now you've got to stretch it out.
let's start talking about, well, I was going to say the big one at the time, but there's been other stuff since about Valve. Valve announced the release, the release prices, which was more importantly, and the date of the Steam machine. So they released it, or they're putting it in 4 different packages. So
Yep.
you can have the 512
SKUs, Dan.
SKUs. Yeah, SKUs. Let's be all in
SKUs.
the industry about it. So you can get the 512 gig on its own, and that comes in. I'm doing the pounds. I've not got the dollar price to hand, but it's £879, 879. The 512 gig with the Steam controller for £938. The 2 terabyte on its own for £1,149, and the 2 terabyte with controller for £1,208. Now,
do you want the dollar prices just for our overseas cousins?
Let's do that.
All right, that's the 512 gig model on its own is $1,049. The 512 gig with Steam controller is $1,128. The 2 terabyte model on its own is $1,349, and the 2 terabyte with controller is $1,428. Ouch.
Now, yeah, ouch. So before we have a general conversation about this, just a couple of other things I wanted to throw out there. So it's clear Valve wanted to release this cheaper, but we've spoken about it a lot of times, and it's going to make an appearance again today. Ramageddon, Rampocalypse, Ramnarok, whatever you want to call it, is kind of screwed them over a little bit.
Biting hard, Dan, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. So, it's Steam Deck had already risen 40% because of this. Now, the few other things have come out since then, more about the machine itself. So the machines, I think people thought the 16 gig of RAM was going to be dual channel, but I think they're now saying it's a single stick of 16 gig in there, which has fed into some people's view on it. So it's not two sticks of 8 gig, it's going to be one 16 gig. There was also a clarification on the fact that it's now capable of up to 4K. So I think before it was saying it was capable of 4K gaming at 60 FPS with FSR, but now I think they're saying it's capable. So there's been a few things that have happened that have been clarified since then. When it launched, you had to put your name on a wait list. So I put my name down for the 512 gig. I think you put your name down for the
everything.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, the everything. And they basically, if you were then successful, so as of recording, so we're recording this on the 29th, that was yesterday, wasn't it? No, Friday. Yeah. Sorry, Friday the 7th. So I wasn't successful, so I'm on the wait list. What was your result, Dan?
I was successful for the 2 terabyte with controllers. So the way it worked, you could put your name down for all SKUs. They would only offer you the highest SKU that you were successful for. So, and you would be removed from all others, which I think is fair, right? Because it's a one per household thing. So I was successful for, I can't remember what it's called. It's waitlist and what's the other one?
Reserve list, isn't it? The reservation.
So I'm on the reserve list for the, however, let's caveat that, because you said at the beginning, they talked about the date for the Steam machine. That date for this could also, for me on the reserve list, could also be any time between today and Christmas. So it's not, the release date it's quite a long period of time, Dan.
And you don't have to buy it, right? Months. You've got 3 days to decide. So
you've got 72 hours. Yeah.
But the one final bit of news story kind of on this is that despite the high price and that, it has sold out in Japan. In that, I think it's kind of even over there. It's made it. So in Japan, the Steam machine starts at 1,175 for the 512 gig, goes up to 1,638 for the 2 terabyte model. Now it's it's become incredibly popular over there. All versions of the Steam machine officially sold out on because it's different systems. Sorry, over there, it's not the reservation list like we've got. So the Komodo store saw all versions of it sell out less than 48 hours. So, the price is a bit of a shock. But and this is what I want to talk to you about, because the key thing, so I'm on the wait list, so I've got plenty of time to make up my mind. Personally, because, we've said it a number of weeks on it, I was really excited about this. I was looking forward to this. I am disappointed about the price. However, I understand what's going on and why it is. it's been interesting to see the massive discourse that's happened online, as always, because of this. Now, I spoke to a friend of mine now, and I'm sure he won't mind saying, Pete, again, hi Pete, who was also looking forward to this, but I think for him, this has priced him out of it. I mean, he's got a PlayStation Pro. And I understand why, for someone like him, it may be priced out, because he's not got PC, he's not PC gaming. And this was going to be, I think, his gateway into it. I can understand for someone like that why you would be priced out, because it is, you know, the messaging online is that is worse than a 6-year-old PlayStation, or about as good as a 6-year-old PlayStation. For me, I'm still interested in it. Yes, it's a lot pricier than I was hoping for, but I think I said to you, I'm an odd customer in that I bought the Steam Deck because I didn't have a PC rig, or a good gaming rig, sorry. I've now got around 450 games on Steam that I want to play. I would love to be able just to have that Steam system going. I don't want to buy, I don't want to get anything more expensive, because I've seen people say, oh, you could make it and have a bit more power in it, but they're saying then it's going to cost an extra £500, or it's going to be a bigger box, or it's going to, you know, have
form factor is a big thing in this as well. And you haven't got the expertise of engineers who've created very specific parts for this to do the things that it does, and then you don't have CEC, you don't. There's a bunch of things it won't do.
So I'll hand over to you now by saying, and look, for everyone screaming, yes, I know building your own is better, but I still think there is a niche market for this item. Oh, and the other thing also, they announced, didn't they, with OS 3.8 now, that you can install the Steam OS on your PC soon, can't you? So you can make your own. But yeah, Dan, talk to us about the whole Steam machine.
Before we do that, I just want to address a couple of things that you were saying. So on the price, Valve kind of came out shortly after and said, look, actually the intent was to release it similar to the pre-percentage rise of the Steam Deck. So it saw a similar rise attributed to it that was attributed to the Steam Deck earlier this month, or late last month. So taking that into account, what you'd have got broadly is probably the 512 gig closer to the £700 mark. And I think that's what they were really trying to go for, which meant that your 2 terabyte with a controller would probably come in broadly about £1,000 or somewhere around that. So they had wanted to do that, and I think, you know, they've gone out and said, look, they were, and we'll get to this when we get to Ramnarok news. There were companies that offered them RAM, which was a particular issue in this build. And if they refuse, they'd never even speak to them again. You know, so it's almost like this monopoly going on, which is terrible. On the RAM, you're absolutely right. So when they first demoed the unit, they talked about potentially releasing with 2 sticks, but actually, because of what they were able to get hold of, they released it with a single 16 gig of RAM stick. Now, there's a go watch Nerd Nest's latest podcast, a really interesting piece around this. But essentially what they're saying is, yes, a lot of the time you would steer away from having single channel RAM, but actually, because it's the VRAM in the Steam machine that is going to do most of the heavy lifting, the CPU input isn't as broad. So therefore, the fact that it's a single channel doesn't really make that much difference. It's negligible. But also, the really good point that someone else was making, I can't remember where, is that actually then if you do want to upgrade, so if I've got 2 single channel 16 sticks, 2 single 8 gig sticks in a machine, I have to go and buy 2 16 gigs if I want to upgrade it to 32. Well, actually, if with this, I only need to buy 1 16 gig stick to get it to 32. Do you know what I mean? So and that invariably will be slightly cheaper than buying 2 dual channel 16 gigs. So it's, you know, there's horses for courses, but it shouldn't materially make that much difference.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say, and I think we're going to talk about it in a later story anyway, so we can kind of touch upon it now. You know, people saying, well, you can get a PlayStation for that. You can get an Xbox. We got to remember, and again, this was a conversation this was a conversation I was having with Pete before the sort of other news came out about Sony, etc. That, you know, Sony and Microsoft have sold their consoles at a loss. Now, if this is the price of the Steam machine, I worry about what the price of the next gen is. Now, we've spoken on here. I know there's been conjecture that Helix might be 1,200, but I think it's today or yesterday a story come out saying Sony have said that the cost to make the PS6, or maybe if it's not Sony, maybe analysts have said you're looking at around $1,000 to make it. Yeah. So maybe
and they
Sony,
said it's unlikely they'll subsidise it much this time as well.
Yeah. So look, so if they do,
and they're just some of the build parts, so it doesn't take into account manufacturing, design, people's time, all of that stuff. So it's you're talking 1,200-1,500 quid, even at making a small margin on that thing, if that's true.
That's it. So and if you look at the Helix being a PC in a box, you're probably looking at more than that now. So everyone is looking and pointing fingers at the Steam machine, but Valve don't really make a lot of hardware. Like you said in your story, then they're not going to get the good deals. They're not getting treated like royalty from the RAM manufacturers. No. So I'm really worried that I could be priced out of the next gen console, because £1,200 for a console, then you might as well start looking at a PC then. If we're talking that kind of figures.
But I'll take you back to your earlier point, right? You talked about niche. And that's where this thing slots in, right? So, yes, Valve have very clearly said it's not a console. But for all intents and purposes, right, and I'm going to rub some people out the wrong way, it's a fucking console. Their intent for this, to build a small form factor, what a lot of people call a PC, a TV PC, to sit somewhere located in their unit, to run specifically games, because, all right, people out there who want to get to know it can get to know Linux and can use it as an OS and, do all the stuff you want to do. But it's not. And it's almost a purer console in some respects than an Xbox or PlayStation, because that all it will do, if you choose, is play games. It won't do, I can open a web browser, but I have to drop out of my Steam front end. I have to go into Linux. I have to then, go start up a web browser. I have to do all that, keyboard, mouse, whatever. It won't play Netflix. You can't, there's no app on the Netflix store, on the Steam store, right? There's no Netflix app. There's no, YouTube. You have to drop out to do it. So it's almost a more pure console. I'm rubbing people's backs on the wrong way this way, than an Xbox or PlayStation in some respects. It also has functionality built into it, just like a console, right? So I can power it on and my other tech around it with the controller, just like I can my Xbox and PlayStation. It will control those devices. It has CEC built into it, right? Specifically built into it with a specific antenna around how it's built to be able to do that. It's got a built-in interface to the Steam controller, just like the Xbox has for the Xbox controller. So there are too many things that are coincidences for it not to be considered a console in my mind. Yeah, right. Yeah. So actually, in my view, it's designed for a specific purpose. Stick under your TV, play your Steam catalog in a console-like way, even if it's not a console.
Yeah.
But that niche it's filling is the one you were talking about, right? So that is that thing. It's a PC in a micro form. It's people who want to get into that world, but don't want the expense or the complexity of building a PC rig, and maybe don't have the space for it either.
Yeah, I'm wondering though now, are they going to attract as many people that are starting out? So like I said, now if I hadn't got the Steam Deck and didn't have a Steam library, would I be as interested? I probably wouldn't, be honest, at the price. And look, for a split second, I did think about, well, do I get a PlayStation then? I was thinking no, because for the odd exclusives, like I said, I've already got the 450 games in Steam. Those are the games I'm starting to go for now, more these PC indie games that you won't get necessarily on there. But also the big, for the people talk about the power, the big blockbuster games, I'm going to get them on the Xbox. So I'm going to have my Xbox and I'll play them on there. I'm not getting rid of the Xbox. Yes, there'll be exclusives that I can't have, but that's been the case for the last 18 years. I just think, people online, there's two things, people saying that there isn't a market for this and people who are looking at it crazy. I think you have to disagree in the sense of there is a group of the market that this is still going to be ideal for, just at a higher price than it was.
Yeah.
But also, we are going to be paying a lot more for everything soon. And, maybe we have been spoiled a bit by Sony and Microsoft in the past by them subsidizing consoles. Because like you said, I can't see them doing it going forward. And I think we're going to have a massive reality check in the next couple of years when the next gen console comes out, because I think we're going to see a threefold rise, right? Because I think the Series X, I think I got for like 429, I think it was on launch.
That, yeah,
something
launch,
like
yeah.
And we're talking about 1,200 for Helix.
Well, I mean, you're talking, what, 700 quid for a Series X now? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, do you know what I mean? And this, I think, look, the Steam machine is going to have no problem selling out its first production run, right? After that, there's a question mark. I think they've got two form problem, right? So it's going to be underpowered against anything that launches from here on in. And it's, in fairness, it's underpowered probably against its closest rivals in the console market, which are the PlayStation and Xbox. It's underpowered compared to those. It may be comparatively with a PS5. Maybe it's comparative to both of them, there or thereabouts. Let's give it a little bit to say it's comparative. But then you've got a PS5 Pro, which it certainly isn't. They've already rolled back on certain comments around it does, 6 frames per second 4K. It does up to, right? Mm. But that's with, FSR and everything else switched on, and, which some people don't like. But if you're not in the PC game, you probably don't really care, and you just want it to run games at 1080p. Happy days. The other problem I think it's got, the first problem in that space is price, right? So yes, you could argue that if it's comparative, why wouldn't I just go and buy an Xbox or a PlayStation? If it was me, would I want to spend the extra 200 quid to mean I have more of an open space to buy my games? Maybe. But then you have to play into the fact is, there's no disc. I'm literally buying everything on digital. There's lots of arguments playing this. The second problem they've got that compounds this issue, the biggest game to launch in the last 20 odd years or whatever it is about to launch, and you won't be getting it on PC immediately.
Yeah.
Right. So GTA 6 is about to launch. And so the number of people, and there's comments around the market already, there won't be enough console units to support the number of people who want to buy it based on previous launches of GTA to support people who want to buy a console just to play the game. Mm. So you might have been in with a shot had GTA been launching at the same time on PC. Oh, I'll pick up a Steam machine and play it then. Brilliant. But you're not even going to get that. So I think they're in a really tough place right now, and I know it's not where they wanted to be, and it's not where any of us wanted them to be. And we really did want to go, well, actually, 700 quid for a 512 machine that does what it does actually seems really reasonable. And I really, really, genuinely want this thing to succeed. Mm. I'm in a different position to you, right? I'm now sitting there going, well, I don't actually. I'm going to regret saying this. I don't actually need one. Mm. I have a ridiculously overpowered PC, although maybe not for the production I do, but for gaming, that I can stream to a TV downstairs and play, 4K, 120 frames a second. I don't need a Steam machine. But actually, my point on this, because I'm a magpie and a tech freak and it's a piece of gaming history. It's the first true hybrid PC console in my mind.
Yeah.
And people argue there've been other things, and they've done another Steam machine before in conjunction with Asus or whatever it was. But this is their first thing. And so for me, it's almost that piece. It's like going, I bought the original iPhone. That's where this is at for me. And that's why I wanted to be a part of that. It was super exciting and still is. And I'll be honest, I'm still on the fence. Like if that email comes through, I'm still kind of going, do I or don't I? I don't really know if I want to. I don't, do I buy that or get some air conditioning fitted? Because it's about the same fucking price. Do you know what I mean? So it's, look, there is a lot and will continue to be a lot of conjecture around this. And is it worth it? Isn't it worth it? I will say, yes, you can buy something slightly more powerful in a very different form factor for about the same price. I think you will be hard pushed to have, certainly in the next couple of months, 2 terabyte drive in it. That's for sure. And you certainly won't get anything more than 16 gig of RAM in it, whatever you're buying. GPU you might get certain by, but even then GPU, I don't think you'll get anything unless you can find, you can get an older, a 3060 card or something like that. You might be able to get hold of that's going to be a lot cheaper, but you won't get anything, that supports, FSR and, all the, the, NVIDIA equivalent from here on in.
Yeah.
It's a really shit position for Valve to be in. And I think they had massive high hopes last year when they kind of, we were just on the edge of, Ramnarok, and it was like, we're going to do this thing, we're going to come to market, and everyone, go back and check out our episodes. We were all super excited about, oh my God, this thing's going to be amazing. And then you got to a point where we're in such a shit position. It's like rock and hard place. Can't not release it, but.
No, and what I'll finish on with me is, like you said, do I need it? No, because I've got the Steam Deck, and that performs for me. The games I've got, it performs okay, right? Like I said, and I think the thing around everyone all of a sudden saying, "Oh, it's not as good, or it's only just as good as a PlayStation 5 that's 6 years old," but this was known, right? I wasn't expecting this to outperform the PS5 Pro or even the Xbox. I think it was known that it was going to be the same. I just wanted to play, because the claim was that it'll run 6 times better than the Steam Deck. So I was thinking, if I'm not playing it on the go, or if I'm not sort of playing it in another room, to have that box, that small little box, would have been perfect to port the games over. I just think, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame because what should have been, I think, an exciting moment in the industry has been slightly soured, not through Valve's fault, but just where we're at.
Yeah, let's go on to the next gen cost, because I think we could talk about this all day, but there's actually some big crossover in terms of when we talk about, actually what the next generation could cost and what that looks like, because I think one of two things is going to happen, and one is okay, one is fucking terrible. But let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the next section, as you said, I've snappily titled it "The Next Gen Cost," and basically it's kind of just reiterating what we've said. So the analysts have been saying, well, look, the long end and short of it is that everyone is suggesting that the PS6 and Xbox Helix, the $1,000 is the base, right? That's the entry point that we think is going to be the cost wise, right? If we also factor in what you said, and I know you've got the story about Sony deciding not to discount for us, or not to make the loss. If you also look at the fact that this month has been the worst in sales, I think, for Sony for many years, and has also been the worst hardware, that is, and also been the worst for Xbox for a while. You've got Apple talking about raising prices, right? Yeah, and in terms of the hardware for PlayStation, just to reiterate where we're at with that, it's the lowest May total since 2000. So we're talking 26 years. So I know people say, well, things ebb and flow, but this is for 26 years. It's just, look, without wanting to sound dramatic, but I have been sitting here thinking, we spoke a couple of months ago about, what was the comment was it from Romero, that the industry now feels at its crashiest place since the 1983 crash. Yeah. It feels like a reset is got or is inevitable at some point, doesn't it?
I think so. I think we need to move away from the cycle of this cycle that was created. God, probably back when the PlayStation was launched. I think that's probably when this started coming around, right? Which was, you buy a console, you play that console, it gets developed for, development improves on it, and you have it for 6 years or whatever it was originally. I think it's extended out to probably 7 now. But you bought it, and then you bought the next one, because actually your generational leap was good enough to then move to the next one. Which the same cycle, the cycle started all over again, right? You bought a console, the games were good, but then got better and better and better, and then you did the next one, and the same thing. We said before, you kind of got to this space now where actually visually there's not a lot, right? Other than path tracing, ray tracing, whatever you want to call it, is kind of making things shinier and prettier and lovelier. And then you've got, NVIDIA coming in and throwing AI slop all over everything, whatever. I think where we are now, you've almost got to say, right, stop. Right, it's not working, right? And it's not working, all right? Maybe it's the hardware that caused it or whatever, but it's not working, right? Do I need a PlayStation 6? Do I need a Xbox Helix right now? No. Right? Do I need anything other than the what the Steam machine does? I mean, what did I say? There's 55,000 games out there to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. So I think that you talk about reset. In my mind, there's probably one or two things is going to happen. It'll be more than this, or it'll be a bill end of it. But firstly, I think we've got to stop chasing realism in games, right? In gaming, because even now you look at games like Indiana Jones, beautiful game, amazingly put together, such a great game. Machine Games, love it. It's really good. Can't fucking run for toffee on 8 gig of VRAM. Right, which is what we're talking. The Steam machine's coming in at, right? So from a PC perspective, it's already up, right? And yet they managed to do a port of that game onto the Switch 2 somehow that runs really well. So it is possible, right? My point is, it is possible to do these things without killing older hardware, which people are going to be stuck with for a while. So start coding games, start creating games, start being more creative and less chasing this realism. For me, that's one path. Right, we go down that way, fucking amazing, right? Because I can tell you now, probably other than Crimson Desert, the most fun I've had this year, probably in the last couple of years of gaming, have been around simpler, like Dave the Diver, like those kind of games that
Mecha Chameleon.
Right?
Yeah, we discussed that, was it last week?
Even Clara Obscura.
Yeah.
Even Clara Obscura, right? Amazing game, but doesn't punish you for having, a lower spec PC or a lower spec. I think the other one that's scarier to me is you're going to drive people out of you're going to kill the console market dead. But what that will mean is a rise, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the episode, you're going to see a rise in mobile gaming. That scares the fucking shit out of me, Dan, because actually the one device that people stare at all day, most of their day, go anywhere, right? Go out your door now, go down a pub, go down a restaurant, go down and sit on the train. You see what I mean? Everyone is just staring at their screen, right? And I'm sorry, mobile gaming is fucking terrible. I don't want a game. I don't want a game on a screen that big. I don't want, I love what I do and what we do. And there are millions out there who will agree with us that that's what you want to do. But if you drive those people into a single device where companies like the Apples and Epics,
those next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm already paying, and this is what's mad, right? It's either that or you're going to end up in a place with a similar thing, right? A mobile phone, not an Apple 17 Pro, all right, it'll run Resident Evil 6 or 7, rather. Yeah, it'll run Resident Evil 7. That's over $1,000.
Yeah. Well,
for a phone. Do you know what I mean?
I saw someone on X. She was ordering, I think must have been an iPhone, but you've got the different memory levels, or storage levels. Yeah. I think to go for the 128 it was like a 4-figure addition to go for that one on top of the base level. Now, what I would say to you is, look, I think, I don't particularly like mobile gaming, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. My problem is when it starts seeping into console gaming, because it's the easiest thing to do and to cut costs and make console games more like mobile games. We've got
that's what I'm talking about. I have no problem with a match 3 or what, you want that kind of instant hit of, that's fine, right? I mean, that's fine. But when you suddenly go, well, everyone's gaming on a mobile now, let's make everything on a mobile. The next Resident Evil game is going to be a mobile game. Yeah. Fuck. Pay to play, pay to win.
Yeah. This worries me more than a lot of things we've discussed, because like I said, let's say today we are in a world where the next gen is out, right? So I've clung on to my Series X, the Helix and PlayStation 6 are out. My Xbox goes, and now I've got to look at, let's go for that £1,200 figure. Could I look to get it? Yes, I probably could. But I'm probably not straight away, because £1,200 is a considerable chunk of money to spend in one go on a console. Now, more than my first car, Dan, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, the irony is, my wife would be saying, get it, because, it's a hobby, you enjoy it. But, that's a holiday. Like I said, that's a substantial purchase. That's aircon, which we, like you said, which for us, we could do with now. And I just really worry about prices. So,
I do look at it slightly differently from my perspective, and probably from yours as well. And thankfully, I have a wife like yours who understands. I'm not a man of the people who's down the pub every night spending 60 quid on beer. So, for me, that's my comparative. That's the thing that I enjoy doing. No, look, fair play to you if you do want to do that, by the way. I haven't got a problem with it. It's just that's not my thing. So therefore, that money that I would spend elsewhere, I then choose to spend on my hobby. Do you know what I mean? I think it's all...
No, and I get that. And I'm the same. I don't go to the pub. I don't go watch football. So gaming is really and probably vinyl is probably my only expense, But I think for me, it's Vice. Yeah, it's Vice. I think for me, it's the thought of paying £1,200 for a console, plus now let's start talking £70, £80 games for something that, like I said, maybe this is where we have been lulled into that false sense of security or sport a bit by the console makers when they have subsidised us for years. That we're now going to go from £400 for a console to over £1,000. Now, one of the articles I found here that a couple of analysts are saying, for example, the PlayStation 5 Pro sells for $899. We have said that the costs are going to be £1,000 for the PlayStation 6. They said, Sony might sell the PS6 for $999 because it's that psychological factor. I don't know if they will, because then all of a sudden you're saying, right, so it's only £100 more than the PlayStation 5 Pro. So have you been overcharging me for the PlayStation 5 Pro? And it goes back to what you're saying. What are you delivering above and beyond the PS5 Pro with the PS6 then? That's what would be going through my head.
Yeah, and it's not even an inflationary figure anymore, is it? Because you go, well, the Xbox 360 launched at whatever price it was, and then the Xbox One launched at that, and that was accounting for inflation. It's broadly the same, maybe a little bit more, and you kind of go, oh, I could probably swallow that. It's £100 more, or whatever. When you're talking the difference between launching a console at 449, whatever the Series X was, the X, to then going, well, your next one's 3 times as much. You go, wow, and those numbers ain't numbering, are they? That's not, that's not inflationary cost. That's inflationary cost plus capitalism plus Ramnarok plus, whatever fucking else you want to throw on it, tax on being an idiot for playing games or whatever it is, it's fucking horrendous. Even I struggle then. Even I genuinely struggle and go, would I even want to partake in that?
And
I spent fucking double that on a PC. But then that for me was justified. Do you know what I mean? That for me was going, that thing will do it all far into the future. And I can sit on my sofa and still do that. Look, do you know what I mean? I don't have to, but look, it's not a one place thing.
And I think you said an interesting word there. I don't think anyone has to justify any purchase. If you purchase something, as long as it's not illegal, if you're purchasing something that's going to bring you joy, bring you fun, or is a necessity to you, you go do it. Don't let anyone else tell you whether it should. And I'm talking more about the discourse online rather than what you said. But it's funny that we say, I've spent a lot of money, so I've got to justify it. Soon we're going to have to spend that money just to get entry level into this hobby. So I'm thinking of the first time console family who've got kids coming up before, I want an Xbox. You might be able to, if you're really struggling, go down to, these sex shop, and that's a computer shop here, CEX. Or you go to...
can you get in there?
when Game used to, I don't know, Dan. Or when Game used to sell consoles, you used to be able to get second hand, even, it's a couple of £100. Now what we're saying, that's going to be like £900. It's
totally. It would be a thing. You could go, so I can have, that console for Christmas. And you go, well, it's £400. And in my day, it was like, well, we can combine a Christmas and birthday or whatever. And then you get, when it's £1,200 and wages aren't rising at the same rate, and, other technology isn't even right, unless it's got RAM in it, isn't rising at the same rate, your answer's going to be a flat no way. Like, go and get a job.
And look, there's a lot still to be uncovered. We don't know what pricing is. I don't think, and we'll come on to this, I don't think RAM and storage is going to come down anytime soon. So I think these are realities we're facing into. And look, not trying to be down on this, but I just, I think we have to face a reality that the next gen is going to be a lot more. And I think what you said is absolutely spot on. Sony and Microsoft, I don't see why they don't just extend this generation.
I think they have to.
What we're going to get wholesale over what we've currently got.
I think they have
generational
to.
leap.
Yeah, what worries me though, mate, I mean, you do that combined with people going, actually, we're going to code our games more intelligently. That would, or we're going to create games more creatively, whichever. That would help. But I still worry, and we'll get onto it a bit later, that even if they delay it by another year, we're still in the same position. Nothing's getting better in a year's time. Even if you announce it in a year's time, right? You announce the next Xbox and next PlayStation this time next year, and they launch the following holiday, right? Which is normally the kind of thing they do. That means you're getting a holiday 28 console. Do we really think RAM storage is recovered? Well, if it recovers, I don't believe it ever will. But do you really think we're in any better place? Are my wages suddenly going to be twice as good to be able to afford? Do you know what I mean? I think I don't know. I genuinely don't fucking know where we go from here, mate.
Well, spoiler for those listening: RAM prices at the best case scenario I saw they would talk about 2028 slowing down, but now since then, I think we're talking 2030. And as we both sent articles to each other, that's then going to be the new norm rather than, I think it's going to be slowing down rather than.
But 28 doesn't help, right? Because your production has to start next year. So you're buying prices now. You're not doing a just-in-time build. Yeah. You're buying your stock ahead of time to build. So you're already screwed unless you're a AI data center.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting is, and this is for another time now, is the next PlayStation is going to be predominantly a next PlayStation, right? The next Xbox was supposed to be a PC in a box. Now
it will be. It will still be a PC Xbox hybrid.
But what I mean is, you could, in normal times, you could justifiably then explain a higher price point for that, maybe than the next PlayStation.
Yeah, agreed.
How much higher is it going to have to be now? If it was being honest with the pricing, and who's going to have to take the hit? So are Sony going to take the hit to pressure Microsoft? Are they both not going to take the hit? Do you see what I mean? Because there is going to be a discrepancy between the PlayStation and the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's who has the most weight with the developers. Mm. And I suspect, not being part of that world, but I suspect that Microsoft probably hold more clout because it's easier to code, because it's just easier to code for a PC than a bespoke architecture. Would be knowing what little I do about it, I would think it's probably quite a complex thing. Now, we also know that PlayStation, Sony are very good at switching up their architecture for their next thing because they want it to be. Mark Cerny in particular, I think is still their lead architect, is very good at kind of going, no, it has to be this specific thing and work in this specific way. And we've seen them fall foul of that in previous generations where they've coded something and gone, well, this is a bitch to code for because you've changed what I was doing on that thing before. So now back compat's really hard. And whereas a PC game is a PC game is a PC game. Do you know what I mean? So you then go, well, I can do that because that's just that with a bit more power or a bit more shiny. So I would think that probably Microsoft hold more clout with the devs, but let's see. I do feel, sorry, it was unfortunate timing because Asher Sharma just last week had said that gaming's becoming too expensive. And then they put the Xbox up $150. Shit, Sherlock. Well, stop it then.
Well, then they put the Xbox up $150 the next week. So
we'll get onto the timing of that. But then... Asher, go in that room out the back and just switch off Copilot, will you?
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, and all this has all happened just so ChatGPT can tell us that strawberry's got 6 R's in it. So,
yeah.
Right.
Screw those guys.
Yeah. And the news just gets worse. So let's look at, there's been a number of layoffs again. This is something I think I made a comment last week that we seem to be talking about this every week. It's been a big one in the last week though, actually, hasn't it? Actually, why don't you talk about this one first? It's been a particularly, when I sent you the message, I think you reacted quite strongly to it.
So we're talking Bungie.
Bungie, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you follow Bungie like I have, and I'm sure many people have, since their early days, since Marathon, on the Mac years ago, right the way through, through to their build of Halo with the Xbox and the relationship they built with those guys. And then obviously going off building Destiny, I've spoke before about, I went to Germany specifically to play, the early form of Bungie at Gamescom. That is literally the reason I went out there, to play that game. I fucking love Bungie and I love everything they did. I played Destiny a lot back in the day. I played Destiny 2 a lot and I fell out of love a bit with it when it started going a bit wayward. When they killed off Cade mainly, but anyway, different story. And then I think they've just been done a huge injustice, and Sony haven't looked after them or taken care of them. And I think they've tried to, like a lot of these companies, get blood out of them, as much as they can. They wanted to rinse Destiny 2 for everything it was. I don't know how much sway Bungie had in terms of the development map for Marathon versus what they should have done, which is probably just go and make Destiny 3. And whether that was a Sony, no, fuck it, live service, more money thing, or whether it was Bungie definitely wanting to do it. But yeah, they've essentially, Sony have laid off, oh my God, I don't even know.
I think I saw a headline of 292 at least.
Yeah, to nearly 300 staff from Bungie. Now, Bungie are the kings of shooters. I mean, if you ever played any Bungie game, even from the early, like I said, the early Marathon, or even from the early Halo, that they are the guys you go to if you want a first-person shooter. And if you want to feel a headshot, and if you want something to pop, they're the guys you go to, and they do it so well. Yeah, so they had which is always the nicest way to do it, a developer layoff call, so where they get everyone together and just go, if you exit through that door, you're safe. If you exit through that, I'm over dramatizing, but essentially what it is. Yeah. So
I've been in a situation not too
there,
dissimilar to that. So I'm not surprised if something like that hasn't happened. Yeah.
Yeah. But, of over 400 staff, nearly 300 of them get laid off. It's fucking appalling. And, so in a public statement, Bungie and Sony announced they're laying off yet another wave of employees following the release of Destiny 2's final updates. We know that Destiny 2 finished recently, which is, again, sad news. But in a public statement released on social media, Bungie called these cuts a reduction in force as we reorganise. I don't know how you reorganise with that few people, but whatever. Can you do 6 jobs? Because we've got rid of the other 5 people. Are you?
You know what can do 6 jobs, Dan, can't you?
Is it our friend Al?
Yeah.
It says, as leaders of Bungie past and present, we recognise Destiny 2 fell short of expectations these past several years. Following our final content update to Destiny 2 and with our future projects still in early incubation, we unfortunately could not continue operating at our previous size. I suspect you probably could have had you been working on the right game. I wasn't, I have to admit, after what happened with Marathon and its release and the numbers, I wasn't surprised. Fucking disappointed that they put their money into a live service game that learn your fucking lesson. And I'm sure, have you got it in the news this week about Sony kind of going, we're going to double down on that shit?
I've got that. Let me find the story, but I've definitely got that here.
Because again, I can't understand why you would fall foul of something so inane. We've talked about the High Guards and the Concords, and Concord in particular was a Sony funded gig. For it to collapse and then go, do you know what, actually we're going to double down on making live service games, even though Marathon's not doing very well. People aren't buying into this shit. And when they do, even then, people are leaving, a lot of these games in rafts because they just don't hold, they go really well to begin with, and then they're not sustainable.
And the thing, what I'll say about, I'll read that headline out shortly. But just to comment on kind of some of the things you've said as well. Yeah, again, it's another scenario of a company that was doing great being bought, and then the minute something doesn't work, it's shuttered. Now, like I said, it just any company getting shuttered is bad, right? But you look at what Bungie has and its history. But just to go on this, so this is the CEO of Sony Interactive, Hideaki Nishino, has said, and this is the word, right? He wants to revitalize live service projects through a combination of first and third party content. We believe that live service games are, he said it's still relatively new kind of game, and it's important to continuously provide something. We believe that live service games are content that attracts users on a global level, so we want to continue to revitalize the market through both first and third party content. We are not only focusing on promoting new releases, but also considering what we can do with older titles in the medium to long term. Also this year, we are planning to release our own live service title, Marvel Tekken Fighting Souls, and we hope you enjoy it. Now, what I would say that is so many have failed, like you said, even their own. Why do they think that, or how much are they going to have to spend? How many studios are they going to have to shut until they revitalize this industry? And why revitalize an industry that obviously gamers, that the appetite isn't there?
No. And isn't Marvel Tekken Fighters a weird flex for a live service game? Isn't it just that you can buy it and play it offline as a tag team fighter and then go, no, it's a live service game. Why? Because you can buy costumes. That's not the thing. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, it's just weird. What's the most popular game that's online that we're going to launch? Oh, it's that fighting one. That one. That's live service now. Fuck off. It's a weird flex. I mean, I don't know about you, Dan, but I don't go to a fucking 2-week-old corpse with a defibrillator and expect it to come back to life, which is essentially what he's trying to do.
He's already dead.
Yeah, exactly. like what? I'm going to revitalise life. Sure you are, mate. Or are you fucking Jesus? Like it's not going to happen.
Just cut your losses, especially when you've already had 2 failures. You know, that's the thing.
Concord was like, it was like they hyped it and they showed videos and everyone went, that's Guardians of the Galaxy in it. And then they launched it and went, oh, we're shutting it. It's only been on 2 days. What are you doing? No, we're shutting it. then not a year later go, we're going to revitalise that industry. That's really good.
And just to add to this section, so we spoke about it. So with Microsoft, so Compulsion is starting to get its first round of layoffs or its round of layoffs. So I know there was a lot of conjecture as to which company was going. It could be a number of them. But since we recorded in last week, the South of Midnight company has been hit with layoffs.
I think it's going to be towards the tail end of July. We'll probably hear about Double Fine and Ninja Theory and a lot of the other studios that they're, with that reorganization that's looming. One thing I will say about, just while we're on the subject of Bungie just before, and the one thing I said to you in retort when you messaged me was I'd give Marathon 3 months at most, I reckon. Maybe 6 at the outlier. I think that game's done. Yeah. And then who fucking knows what.
Yeah. And just in terms of this as well, we kind of alluded to it earlier. EA now, so the sale to the, it was it's $55 billion sale to the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. EA, this is going to reportedly be laying off an unknown number of staff ahead of that. Again, EA says it's axing these roles to adapt to how we work better to meet fans' changing needs. I would argue that we need developers and people to make games to meet our needs. But as part of this evolution, we're making or proposing to make some change to roles, creating new roles and moving certain work to different teams, location or service partners. Now, firstly, again, as we always say, hope everyone affected by this finds work quickly. And look, and like I said, let's not beat around the bush. We know, and we'll say again, you and I have gone through this. Redundancies are a fact of life. But I think where it's in an industry, like we've been saying, that should be going from strength to strength. And it's some really bad decisions that are being made at the tops of some companies, that it's the people that shouldn't be hit are being hit. And I think that's it's
because of the people who are making the decisions, mate. That's the problem.
Exactly.
And EA's a fucking prime example of that. You wait. Next year, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get AI sports. It's in the game. You're going to get fucking AI slop shit all over the place, mate. I'm telling you, that is what they're going to do. They're just going to go, when they talk about, oh yeah, we're going to farm it out to other people. No, you're not. You're going to lay off a load of people and you're going to expect AI to fill the gap. Fucking get rid of it. Just suck it off. Just get rid of it.
And I should say, I promise people the end section is going to be a bit cheerier. So
it gets worse before it gets better, though.
We will get.
Gets worse before it gets better. Then
we will get to some good news. We will get to, or some not so depressing news. Right,
He's not dead. He's got minutes to live.
The thing is, right, Dan, you know me. I'm the most happy-go-lucky
You're a glass half full kind of guy.
My glass is always 3/4 full, and this has hurt me doing this week's episode, I tell you. Right.
I'm glad you did it.
We are
going to... much more sweary if I'd have done it.
We are going to talk about Ramageddon now. I mean, we have been, but yeah, just to kind of flesh out some of the things we've been saying. So initially, Micron had said that the shortage, the global RAM and NAND shortage and AMD shortage will continue through 2027 and improve gradually in the following year. As I saw that, I then saw an article, this is on the Register, where Micron locks in historically high memory prices for 5 years. So memory maker Micron has found a way to keep prices for its products sky high for another 5 years by signing 16 strategic customer agreements that include a floor price the company says comes with very robust gross margin for Micron. Lovely phrase that. Well above our peak quarterly margins in any past cycle. So yeah, so basically what they've said, what this is just, it's guaranteed price level for them. Another then article, again, this was all on the Register, the register.com. The memory crisis is getting so bad that even retro RAM prices are going to the moon. And what this is buyers now are turning to legacy products such as DDR2 and DDR3 to meet demand, and they're seeing massive increases.
I am rich, Dan. I've got in my hand 16 gig of DDR. I think this is DDR4 actually. Yeah. I've got 16 gig of DDR4. Anyone want some? I mean, have you got a house to swap for it?
Well, you might be able to buy an Xbox with that next year, don't worry.
Fucking nuts. I was going to stick it in an AI data center, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, well, yeah. So we're seeing that. Then another couple of articles. So as the Steam Machine, Xbox, and PlayStation 5 consoles reach eye-watering prices, Lenovo say we're in the new normal for RAM costs. So this is the wonderful news that, like you were saying, prices aren't going to come down, and the article and the article is also saying this article where it's saying we're probably going to get 2030 before they kind of level out. Level out. They're never going to go back to what they were. Can I just cover this last one that I had on here? Because this is like my because not all heroes wear capes, Dan. Yeah. So this is an article from Kotaku. So a class action lawsuit accuses 3 largest RAM manufacturers of colluding to drive up prices. So I'm going to just read a bit, just stick with me. So 17 individual plaintiffs, including 3 small businesses, have launched a class action lawsuit in Northern District of California against three of the largest RAM and chip manufacturers. Now, I think they are accountable for about 90% of RAM production, these 3. So this is Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron, who you've just mentioned. So the plaintiffs allege that the 3 tech companies are colluding to raise the price of RAM by keeping supplies artificially low, blaming it all on AI data-driven RAM apocalypse rather than corporate policy. So, I mean, look, whether this case pans out or not, we've seen, we spoke about it earlier, Valve basically came out and said that their RAM manufacturers just wouldn't speak to them and blacklisted them if they didn't agree to the pricing they had. So there could be a nugget of truth in this, but it would be incredible if this started and this uncovered some, just from this tiny little thing. And just to be clear, Samsung and SK Hynix have previously been indicted for doing exactly what they're being accused of previously. So in 2005, 2 Samsung executives and 1 Hynix America executive were indicted by a San Francisco jury for DRAM price fixing and bid rigging. So this thing
has happened before. They've got form, certainly 2 of them, not including Micron, obviously. Lawyers at the ready. So yeah, I just, it would be incredible. I mean, look, yes, I think the AI crisis is real and the data center thing is real. I'm not suggesting it's all made up or an illusion, but I can also see that layered with something like price rigging or bid fixing as being, you know, something fucking horrendous happening. So it just to finish off the article, it says it's hard not to root for the plaintiffs on this one, especially when you take into account the fact that Micron Technology's stock price has increased by 1,309%. SK Hynix's has increased by 2,045% over the past 5 years. That's not normal, Dan. That's not normal.
And when we finish this bit, I do want to go back to our last story about EA, but I'll do that after. You've said yourself, we've seen a number of these class action lawsuits, and over the years I've seen loads, and I never see anything come out. So even if it's just from a moral standpoint and trying to highlight this issue wider, you know, good on them. And I hope something can come out of this. But the thing about the RAM shortage is, even so I was explaining to my wife, I was saying to her, look, you know, it's not just that my little box under the TV is getting more expensive. It's going to be phones, it's laptops, it's even TVs. You know, it's anything and everything, you know, almost electrical now is going to feel this. So yeah, these companies are doing this solely for this AI. And look, you know, no one's saying that. Well, no, a lot of people are saying that. But look, we can chase the AI dream, but we got to watch out what we're doing. Surely there's got to be, and like I said, no, their responsibility is their shares, right? But hasn't there got to be a responsibility to the industry? Maybe I'm really naive saying that, but it's like we are leaving all these companies in its wake now. Do you know what I mean?
I don't want to say you're being naive, Dan, but I think you are. This is all about the bottom line. It's all about the shareholder, right? Well, it's why fucking fossil fuel still exists. It's why water companies can get away with billions of pounds worth of leaks. It's because it's all about the shareholders. It's all about pleasing them and making them money.
But isn't it crazy though that like water? Well, we're not going to get into talking about water. Check out water.
Are you
views.
not utilities views?
Check out utilities views on our Patreon. You know, what I would say is that like the water industry, there's 5 companies or whatever, you know, that supply houses.
Well, there's 3 for the RAM.
yeah. No, but what I'm saying, yeah. What I'm saying is, in the electrical market, you know, in the gadget market, whatever we want to call it, you know, all the companies are suffering. It's going to be look, it's Sony, it's Microsoft, it's Valve, it's going to be Nintendo, it's going to be Lenovo, or any company that hasn't got a deal in the AI data centers. Everyone is suffering. Everyone is going to suffer, and it's going to be.
I don't think they're suffering. I think the consumers are suffering. I don't think Microsoft.
Well, the employees of these companies.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And can I sorry, anything more on Ramageddon?
No, I'm sick of it, Dan.
Well, I just want to go back because there was a really important point I forgot to mention in the last one. And look, people can earn what they want, and people can earn what you know. Salaries are salaries, right? EA, so bear in mind what we said about the layoffs and all the troubles going there. This article from PC Gamer said, on the bright side, EA CEO took in 260 times the median salary of the company. Yeah. So I'm just saying. And as they said, I'm sure this is healthy and normal. So I'll leave you with that, Dan.
No comment.
No comment. Wait, please comment because you're still about 30 seconds behind, so I can't see your face. I need more RAM. Right.
Fucking wankers is what I think. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Why is not our software on our recording studio needs more RAM?
Because they've given it to
I'm going to be
the
having
AI
words
data
with them.
centers.
I'm telling you now.
The recording platform was giving all the AI to the RAM to the data centers.
There will be a sternly worded email to them shortly. Yeah. Carry on.
Right. The next article I've titled under Gaming Be Gaming because of everything we've kind of said, and some more still to come actually, but it's from PC Gamer again. The video game market is as big as ever with PC leading growth. Global games revenue surpassed the $200 billion mark in 2025. Now, you know, this is like we're saying in in an industry where we've said there's consolidations, there's sell-offs, there's layoffs, there's the Ramageddon. The gaming market research firm Newzoo stated that the global games market closed 2025. All right, look, 6 months ago at 201.6 billion, which was a 9.1% increase year on year. So it crossed the 200 billion threshold for the first time. In other words, PC led the charge with the strongest recorded growth rate so far, 43.6 billion, which is a 12% increase. Now, firstly, I think a lot of that's going to happen because of the amount we're having to pay. So it'll be interesting to see what revenue is going to be. But it feels like we're now seeing probably why these companies are starting to make some of the decisions, because there's so much money sloshing around in gaming now that they can kind of do what they want, or they think they can do what they want.
And this is the problem, it's all about the immediacy. It's all about the now. Then they're not thinking about the future. Well, I've got a captive audience for now and I can rinse them for money. I'm happy. Right. But what about next year or the year after that, or 5 years or 10 years from now, when that market doesn't exist anymore because you've priced yourself out of it, or you've killed the gaming community, or, not literally, obviously, but, when we're all sitting there, all we're fucking playing is Roblox because it's the only thing that's available to us, or God forbid, Fortnite, either of those two things. But is that the world we want to live in? But
it does make you think, though, and look, this is the industry as a whole, right? We're talking about $200 billion. So, individual companies are always different. But if there is so much money, it is growing 12%, year on year. Why is there so much problem in a lot of these bigger companies? There are all these layoffs. There are all these things. Should we be seeing that in an industry that is going from strength to strength, or was looking like it's going from strength to strength?
I don't know. I do know. Greed is the main answer, right?
Oh, and the new golden egg, right? The golden goose, golden egg, the goose that laid the golden egg. Goose. AI based
live service games.
Live service. Well, take your pick. It's the worst of two evils, right?
Fucking horrendous. Like
well, like I said, so
I hate it all, Dan.
Let's this time next year. Let's see what the games industry market revenue finished at next year, right?
Yeah, but it was interesting. You talk about that, like that 200 billion revenue, 1.5% of that, which doesn't sound a lot, but it's still $3 billion. Was Roblox? That's one game making up 1.5% of that.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. It's the insanity of you're never going to stop kids wanting to play that shit because it's everywhere. But I'm just like, what about all the other great things? I don't want the industry to become that. It's really depressing.
You do wonder, and it's almost good timing because there is a big game coming out later this year that might sell a few. But you do wonder. Damn you! Do wonder. Could this maybe, and I hope it does, could this make the indie market thrive more?
I fucking hope so, man. I genuinely do. Yeah. But I think, as I said before, the guys over at TCGS covered this, and they clearly said, I think Sean was saying clearly that the indie market is oversaturated. That's the problem they've got, and there's a lack of investment in it at the moment as well. So. We've said it for months. We're living in the worst timeline right now. I don't know how to make it better, Dan. I can't take the stones back and put them in their rightful place anymore. I've done everything I can.
Right. Well, let's move then on to the next thing. There's a game coming out. It's called GTA 6. Right. We've spoken about it a couple of times. We've probably broken the news on here a couple of times about it. So it's you may have heard of it, but yeah. So GTA 6 basically pre-orders, and I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my phone because there's a particular thing I want to also bring up. The pre-orders went live.
Oh, I too have to do that on my phone.
Yeah, the pre-orders went live as we recorded last week. So in the UK, the base game is going to cost $69.99, which I think is $79.99. And there's a premium edition costing $89. $69.99 or $100 in the US. Now,
you mispronounced that, Dan.
what did I say?
There's a game releasing at $70 and £70, and then there's the actual game releasing at £90. That's what you meant.
Yeah, well, yeah. Spoilers. So with that, yep. Actually, Dan, while I find this other story, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So you're going to be able to get a not physical copy of GTA 6. So you're going to be able to get a plastic box if you choose to, with the digital code inside. You're going to get a box, so you won't get a manual either. So, Dan's sad already. And as Dan said, it will retail at $79.99 or $100 for the premium version, or $69.99 UK pounds, or $89.99 UK pounds for the premium version.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, it's already pissing people off because they're like, can I have a disc? I want a disc. I'd like a disc. And then there was conjecture about, don't worry, we will get a disc. You're not getting a disc. They've already come out and said, we are not doing physical versions of GTA 6. There won't be one. Okay, fine. I'll deal with that. Thanks. Doesn't bother me, but it bothers a lot of people, particularly people who collect this stuff, right? And there are those people out there. The reason was for the decision was it reduces the amount of rebuying and reselling and helps prevent leaks, i.e., we can just keep making more money because we've
them looking after their servers better as well and putting more protection and security around their servers also will prevent leaks. But let's not,
of course, Dan.
But let's not look at that.
Right.
Let's ignore the elephant in the room there, right?
Because they've never been hacked, so that's fine. Now, and I know Microsoft are looking into something interesting around this stuff, aren't they? About physical discs being transferable into a digital copy that registers your disc being played.
I've got that coming up.
Unless you're somebody, I'm sure we'll cover it. What's more? I mean, like I said, I'm not one who's going to kind of pop out and buy this, so I'm not that bothered. It is the fact that you are buying a game that is, from my perspective, lacking on content that I think they've set a precedent about being available in a game, even in games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and things like that, which is customization, primarily around vehicles and things like that. So unless you buy the premium edition, you ain't getting that. And physical customization, so tattoos and nail salon and hair, unisex salon type thing is also being locked out. You ain't getting that unless you're getting the £90, $100 edition. If I don't know, Dan, I mean, you know this game much better than I do. You know these games much better than I do. It feels really fucking shitty to release a game without the full content because it's a cheaper price. I mean, maybe they're trying something new. I don't know, but it just feels like a real dick move. Am I just being weird about it?
No, I mean, so again, sorry, did you go into what the differences were? So it was the stores, wasn't it? And I think wasn't it more cars? It was some stores, wasn't it?
It's vehicle customization. So stores for vehicle customization and physical modifications like tattoos and hair and nails and things like that. Yeah.
So for me, I'm not necessarily going to miss that. What I would argue is that they're charging 20 quid extra for that. And it's like, they're not short of a few bob. I think this is in lieu of the fact that at the moment they're not launching with the live. So they want to that's how they can maybe make some money until they get the online bit. If it was, we've seen in the past where there's actually gameplay has been cut from games. There's some games where they ship with intentionally missing chapters and the DLC fills that in. I think that's slightly different. I just think Rockstar didn't need to do this. But again, look, they can because it will sell loads of money. It will sell loads of copies, right?
No doubt. But my point was more, it will sell shitloads because people want that. Yeah. GTA Online specifically, but also in previous, and I don't play it massively, but I'm familiar with the game. I'm not stupid. I keep my head in there. People love the customization. People love the car customization, love the character customization. They did go to town on this shit, particularly in online. And it becomes an extension of them, their character in the game world. And Rockstar have set a precedent by going, well, you could do that in 4, you could do that in 5. But if you want to do that in 6 to that degree, give us some more money.
For me, look, I don't think there should be any content cut from a day one purchase game, right? You could launch it with extra bonuses. So like the stores could be there, but if you've got the premium edition, maybe there's extra selections. But I think this just highlights the point that back in the day, and look, you can still get them now, not say you can't, but back in the day, premium collections were physical things that offered you physical, tangible gifts, right?
Digital soundtrack.
Yeah, digital soundtrack. I mean, one of the things is the story that did break was initially that there was going to be a disc version launched around Christmas, but apparently that's been said no.
Debunked. Yeah, it's not happening.
And look, and as you said, you know, I'm not too fussed at the moment about physical because we've said before, you know, a lot of my library is digital. However, you know, I know a lot, as you said, a lot of people do. And that's not an issue because, look, my music, I almost don't listen to it digitally or stream it. I like my records. So I'm not going to say, well, you know, this argument isn't relevant because my music collection is. But
how do you even manage that in game? Right, I was reading the Kotaku article earlier, and the guy put it quite succinctly by going, imagine if you have a fucking pop-up asking you to upgrade once you get close to that store.
Well, this
it's
is
like
what
being
I said
in a mobile game.
Well, this is what I said to you.
How do you do
How
it?
are they going to do it? You're going to drive down the street and then you're going to see a row of shops, and one of the shops is going to be, you know, like it's going to be all grey, like it's greyed out, like an unlockable character.
No, it's the GIF I sent you of the guy turning around the open to the closed side. You're going to walk up to it, you're just going to close it. It's closed. Fuck off.
Yeah, look, and no company's going to give stuff away, but I don't feel like this is giving stuff away. I just feel like already with it being at that higher price point, and you know, the thing is, we should hope this is a good game because this is, and I'm going to go to, you said it as well earlier, this should be a systems seller. So this could be something that revitalizes some of the hardware slumps we're seeing. But it's just, digital only, which there's a couple of stories linked to this. So you're not going to get a physical disc. So that's already upsetting to some people, and I get it. And you're locking some of the content away in what's called premium.
It's not the first time they've paywalled customers, and they did it with Red Dead Redemption 2. They've done it with others. It doesn't surprise me, but it just kind of sucks.
Yeah, what I'll say is, so this was something Joey from the Game Club Pod said, but I also saw it under a Twitter account today, and I struggle to believe this, but it's being reported in a couple of places now. So apparently the pre-orders got off to a record-breaking start. According to new report, analysts estimate GTA 6 has already generated around $1 billion in pre-order revenue within the first hour, with pre-orders reaching an estimated 39 million copies in 24 hours, worth roughly $3 billion. They're not being officially confirmed. And I said to Joey, I find that so hard to believe. But with all the hype, the thing is, this game, the hype, the press, and the anticipation, I wouldn't be surprised if that's true.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, wasn't there a bit of a 2 and 8 between Microsoft and Sony about this as well? Because Sony were basically saying, we've got triple the amount of pre-orders or whatever it was. And Microsoft went, no, you can't include that because we haven't included our pre-order numbers or whatever they put on there, which I thought was hilarious.
Well, the whole funny thing
it's likely going to it's going to. I mean, fucking Sony have changed that whole front end of their PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like,
which when
mad.
Microsoft do it, it's bad. But the funny thing is, Sony released a load of the plays best on PlayStation thing, didn't they? You know, GTA plays best on PlayStation. But there was a couple of funny things about that because some of the advantages they were saying was around the haptic feedback, and I think something to do with the controller, which I think you're really struggling there.
I can hear voices from my microphone on my controller. That's definitely worth the extra money.
But then I'm sure I saw something, then they had to pull that and then replace it because they showed it with the disc version of the PlayStation 5. So they then quickly replaced it with the discless version.
doesn't have a disc. Can I insert the code into it? Is that what happens? And apparently it's pro enhanced as well.
Yeah, well,
so I don't know, but they haven't stipulated why. How is it better?
It needs to come.
PSSR.
It needs to come with a few like police chases outside your house, and you know, some of the cars actually being delivered to you for the price we're talking.
Tell me, man, can I have the gold-plated weapons? Can I talk about my favourite GTA 6 scam?
I was going to ask. Yeah, go for it.
So I saw this one today, and it did make me laugh because it combines two of my favourite things, which is gullible idiots and gullible idiots who are MAGA. So there was a post put out, right, across social media, and let's call it Twitter or X, right? Because that's mainly where these people reside. And the post reads, and I'm going to read it, right? Because it's from Donald J. Trump. You recognize it wasn't him because the handle is at the real Donald Trump, clearly not the real Donald Trump. But it says the White House GTA post, and if you're familiar with this, they did a post about Grand Theft Auto, and it was a montage a mock-up of the front cover, but with Donald Trump and, in the GTA style. I'll put a picture of it up, but they did this thing. So he says, he didn't say, the White House GTA post went very viral. One of our highest, what amazes me, they get AI to write just like him. One of the highest reaching posts in the history of the account. So much talk about it. It caught my attention, found it amusing. I had a very good call with Sam Houser of Rockstar Games, smart man. We want to do something special for the true patriots of our nation, offering a 25% discount for those who pre-order the game on rockstarpreorder.com using the promo code GTA 6 MAGA. Truly incredible opportunity. What would you say about me being the greatest president of all time, make America great again, President DJT, which is how he signs off his ex Twitter and Truth stuff. Now, what got me about this, right? It was done particularly well, I have to admit, right? But it's a massive phishing scam. So if you go to rockstarpreorder.com, you'll see it's a phishing thing all over it. But when I then went through the comments, as I do on these things, there were so many people who'd been to the website and gone, it actually works. I got like a 25% discount and I got the code for the game. And I'm going, fucking hell, you've literally just handed someone, $65 or whatever discount you got. Yeah. And the reason it makes me a little bit happy, Dan, is because the people who are ordering this thing. Right?
Yeah.
And those people who are reading those posts and believing in it. I was just like, it's a nice little silver lining.
Can I not link to that at all? And this is random, so please go with me. Link back to Take That. Can I talk about a funny misunderstanding video I saw on TikTok about the Take That concert? Well, I'm going to now.
Sure,
I mean,
let's just take that views, fuck's sake.
No, I have to say, so not linked to MAGA or political views, but there was an American girl on TikTok, and the only reason I mention the nationality is because Take That weren't massive in America. They didn't really make it over there. So the tour is called Circus Live, and she's working in England, and she got tickets through her work. She said she didn't elaborate how, but she was going expecting a circus. She didn't know who Take That were. So she got there, and because this set is like a circus tent, she said she gets there, and the script were playing, and she goes, "Oh, I'm surprised they're opening for a circus, but you've got to pay the bill somehow, right?" And she goes, then it starts, and she goes, "These three guys come out singing, and they just carry on singing." And she goes, she spoke to the girl next to her and said, "Is this a concert?" And the girl, it was a young girl, not an OG generation Take That.
Yeah, like you.
Said, Yeah. She goes, this is a band. This is Take That. They're like the One Direction of our parents' generation. And this girl, poor girl, she went there expecting to see a circus, but ended up seeing a concert. So.
And I suspect those tickets weren't cheap. I mean, I wouldn't pay that much for a circus.
Not cheap. No,
not cheap at all.
Right, moving on. Right, because there is time. So the last bit of sort of annoying news, I guess, and this links to the last thing we were talking about, GTA. So Sony have, so this is about the whole if you buy digital, you don't own anything. That argument, which has really read up online on social media since the GTA 6 announcement. But Sony have removed content from PlayStation accounts. If films, if you bought them. So basically, Studio Canal, which is I think it's French or German, isn't it? A media company. Yeah, they were obviously selling their films for it. So I think there's 500 odd films that Microsoft. I'm doing it now. That Sony have removed from people's accounts who have paid for it, and these aren't necessarily sort of unheard of films. I think I've seen the Terminator in there. There's been there's some big films in there. So, this really does kind of throw that argument about, physical v digital. So people have purchased. There's no refunds. There's no recompense. There isn't, I've not even seen mention that you can download it and keep it. They are being removed from your accounts.
Don't know anything anymore, Dan.
Well, this is it. And I joked to you, and I meant to say at the start, with all this cost, etc., you're going to be renting games. You are going to be renting gaming, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think that's the way it's going.
I'm not, but someone is.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you could take the cynical view and go, I already fucking am, Dan. I've got 200 items in my Steam catalog, and I don't own a single one of them. Yeah. Right? I mean, you could.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of their statement, due to our content licensing agreements, you will no longer be able to access your previously purchased content from Studio Canal, and it will be removed from your video library notice. Worth noting that players in some country, including Germany and Austria, lost their content back in 2022. PlayStation Store discontinued movie and TV purchase rentals in 2021. However, PS5 and PS4 players can purchase video content via my internet's gone funny. Sony Pictures Core. So yeah, this, because I've always said where people say, when games get delisted, if you've bought it, you can still download it. But this feels like it's at next level where, yeah. So I've always stayed away. I think years ago, because where we worked, the retailer we worked at offered a deal. They were doing a digital film. Do you remember? They were doing a digital streaming and TV. It was something box. I can't remember. But anyway, I bought a season of Game of Thrones because I got a discount from work. But I tend not to want to buy anything like that through my console because you just don't know the transitory nature of anything that isn't gaming on a console. I don't know. I
don't buy a lot of any digital media. I don't think like in that way. Like I pay for subscription services, but I tend to watch what's on there rather than. There's been the odd occasion where I've gone, well, I'll just buy a movie the kids want to watch, like Super Mario or something like that. But I've never rented one, and I don't really buy anything like that through them, and I don't buy them. I certainly don't buy them to keep on. Like you talk about the PlayStation one, which I think is what would happen. I don't think I've got many of those or any of those that I've bought previously and sit on there for the same reasons. You just never know. Whereas with games, I'm more inclined to buy the new shiny thing. With movies and stuff like that, unless it's a movie I desperately love, I'm like, I'll wait until it comes out. I'm all right.
Yeah, and just linked to this. So I only found it today. But it's about Dead or Alive 6. So a fighting game, Dan. So it has been rebranded, relaunched online. Now, when it got relisted, so it arrived last week and it replaced the delisted, there we go, 2019 version of the game. But the version that's come out now is a lot worse than the previous one. So it's being pummeled by negative reviews.
Is it like the remake, reimagining thing? Is that?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's shinier. I think they've said they're making new DLC. Right. But I think if you've got any of the DLC before, I think I saw that you still needed to buy the DLC potentially from the previous version. So again, it's and unfortunately I can't find the right story, but it's this whole thing about digital that they can replace at any point with an inferior. It looks like it's an inferior product. So this digital physical thing is going to be I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I mean, I know we've already seen a lot, but it just feels like we're potentially going to get worse.
Sorry, I've just seen the article that it's related to. So this is where, this is Dead or Alive last round, right? So they replaced the delisted 2019 version of the game. They positioned it as a new version with a slight upgrade, and promised that new DLC was in. So it was $40 dollars. Sorry, and included 5 previously released add-on characters as well as 5 new costumes. A free-to-play version subtitled Core Fighters is also available, but does not include the story mode. Blah blah blah. Yeah, in it 7 years since its first launch, the game accumulated 440 DLC. 440.
Yeah.
And basically, I think what they're saying is that no longer exists. But if you want it, you can download it. You can buy it again.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I bought it already. Can I? No, I can't use it. Okay,
no. Right. Look, let's do the and finally bit. So for people either who weren't growing up in England it was probably the late 90s, early 2000s. That was where ITV, the news at 10, they would try to finish with happier stories to make people sort of leave the news with a bit more of a smile than a grimace. So I'm trying to do that. And I did try. So
it was hard out there, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I'll finish with the better one. But I like these kind of stories. So we did a Happy Birthday Sonic the Hedgehog or Mr. Needlemouse episode a few weeks ago. Yeah. So go check that out. But to celebrate the 35th anniversary, Sega are launching Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Legacy cartridge collection, and they are official Sega Genesis cartridges. So you'll be able to dust off your Sega Genesis and play Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2.
That Sega Genesis I no longer have.
I find these things fun. Dan, one for you. I found this specially for you. Well, it's probably been ripped down by now. But Half-Life 2 is playable in your browser thanks to a 3-month project from a teenager. So it is developer, I don't know how you say that, but it's SLQNT. Developer SLQNT showed off the project on X, outlining that the browser port was created over the course of just 3 months. To get Half-Life 2 up and running in your browser, all you need to do is navigate to his website, and within a few seconds, download some files, click on New Game, and then you are playing Half-Life 2 in your browser. Now, the reason for mentioning that is, firstly, look, one, it is one of the most influential games of all time. It's a great game, but it is also, do you remember at the time how advanced it was? And I think you said in your episode about Half-Life how it crashed all the servers because it was one of the most, sort of hype games. It was one of the first things through Steam as well, wasn't it?
Well, through Steam.
Now you can play it in your browser until Valve pull it down.
Which is awesome for all kind of ways until Valve pull it down, like they did with the recent companion key. RIP. Yeah. But what I didn't mention in my what you've been playing is I also went to play Half-Life RTX, which is the specially shinied up edition for RTX cards with all ray tracing and everything else switched on. So I went to play that. And now, bear in mind, I have got an RTX 5080, which is penultimate only to the 5090. Right, and there's one kind of fucking studio level ridiculous god tier above that, but essentially the second best Nvidia card you can get right now until they bring out another one. Fucking runs like dog shit, Dan. It's literally, it's as good as the video on this Riverside broadcast tonight. That's how good it's running. And I'm like, how is that possible? Like, this game is, God knows it, and it's Welcome to Ravenholm. It's the entire level of Welcome to Ravenholm. And I'm like, how is this level so? How is this playing so? Admittedly, I didn't go in and tweak any settings, so I will go back and give it another go. But it was so janky. So the fact they're getting running in a browser, amazing.
Yeah.
The fact that I can't get Half-Life RTX running on the second best graphics card in the world, not so great.
Yeah. And look, and I know
I'll let you finish now.
No, I know these developers shouldn't do this and that, but I love when people take it on themselves off their own back to do something like this. And they've got Half-Life 2 running in a browser. Just used to play those silly Flash games years ago. That's what I played in a browser. Now you're playing one of the best games of all time. Look, I am going to finish on a proper happier note, on a good note. Look, everything we said earlier, there's layoffs and restructuring, etc. But Nintendo are that company that seem to still buck the trend. So I've got this from the GoNintendo.com website, but it's been reported in a number of places. So this article says, look, times are tough in the game industry right now, with multiple studios shuttering and expenses growing exponentially due to component shortages and more. This has resulted in a lot of companies tightening their belts, but Nintendo appears to have done the opposite. During a Nintendo shareholder Q&A, Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa was asked about how they take care of their employees. Included in his answer, Furukawa revealed that in an effort to keep compensation at appropriate levels, Nintendo has raised base salaries for employees by 10%. Now, look, obviously we don't know what the salaries were before, but, who gets 10% salaries, raises, and just in a week, look, and we can only talk about the news that's there, right? But, and I feel, whilst we talk about how much we love the industry, we need to talk about everything about it, right?
Yeah.
This was a story that just stood out and shone out to me that, Nintendo are kind of giving their staff a 10% raise.
Which is lovely.
It is
like across the board.
Yeah. So good on you, Nintendo. Look, I think I want to leave it there because otherwise we'd talk about the bad stuff that we said at the start again. So, Dan, I think that was what I had covered. There was a couple of things on the list, but I've decided not to say them. But was there anything you wanted to say else?
No, I thought you were going to finish on a happier story. That idiot at GameStop had forgone his bonus for buying eBay or something that is never going to happen, which is also funny and good. But no, let's leave it there because we are for an episode that was going to be a bit quicker because it was only news. We've covered an awful amount of ground, Dan.
Look, all right, look. Thank you for staying with us on this. It was very news heavy, but look, it is a very news heavy period of time. And look, when this episode comes out, some things may have advanced, some things may have changed, but I think the main thing is let us know what you think. Let us know your views on the Steam machine. Let us know your views on GTA 6, whether it's about it breaking records, whether it's about the physical v digital thing, whether it's, as Dan said, raised about the locking stuff away behind the premium edition. Views on Ramageddon, anything else you said, drop us a note.
Except for Take That. I don't want any views on fucking Take That. No views on Take That.
I'll answer those. I'll answer those. And if you want a special bonus episode, just let us know.
It's never the same after Robbie left.
Was it better? No, look, all right, look. Okay, so... No, it was a spectacle. Look, Dan, you're distracting us. Right. So, I guess anything else other than saying thank you and goodbye, and we'll see you next week?
Thank you. Goodbye. We'll see you next week.
Lovely. Oh, I've got to stop here.